I literally watched a movie just over the weekend. I thought I've always enjoyed these films, and I've always enjoyed your performances as Pat Tate. But I mean, I was going to ask, because it's a series of films, do you think that there's a kind of inclination from the kind of team behind it to always try and go one better than what came before, to do something the franchise kind of hasn't seen yet? And do you think that benefits the films as they go on?
Oh, 1000%. But that is that's Andy Loveday, the producer. You know, he's very, very much into keeping it fresh, changing things, keeping people on their toes, and not letting it become a stale and just a repetitive version of the last film. And that's the reason why I did this one. That was the main hook, because when he approached me about doing another one, you know, we'd been all through this. I wasn't going to do any more after Marbella, but because he said after watching Villain, I think there's something we can do with you on your own. How do you feel about doing that? And we sort of bounce some ideas, and we come up with Revenge, which hadn't been done. So it was as simple as that. I went off to Cape Town to do a TV series, and Andy and Jason Maza got their heads together, came up with an amazing treatment, then started working on the script. We'd bounce it about a little bit, you know. I'd sort of do my little bit of tinkling, you know, just to, and then they came back with an amazing script, you know, a strong script within the Footsoldier franchise for an independent thriller.
I mean, it is a really tight script, but I'm interested to know, because you know Pat Tate better than anyone now. So when it comes to like being on set, and even in the early kind of conversations, does Nick and the other guys, do they kind of let you take charge in some ways? Are they open to suggestions, but does it become quite collaborative?
Oh, massively. Yeah. Oh, yeah, huge. It's funny you picked up on that. It's the fact of, you know, the past couple of films I did before this film, I'd shown an emotional side of me in Villain, in Muscle, in Violent Man. There was a vulnerability. Very, very, very difficult to inject that into Pat. Somehow get that in the film. But I tried my hardest just to get a few little elements of I don't know, something, just an edge of a redeeming quality, anything. Do you know what I mean? But I had to be very careful, because it's a very fine line, and I didn't want to, you know, the fans love this franchise. They love the characters. So I can't take it too far off track, you know, as opposed to sitting there crying and looking for, you know, it just wouldn't have worked.
It's funny you mentioned Muscle. I rewatched that the other day. That is such a good movie, honestly. It stands up a second time. But anyway, off track. But no, you mentioned about, I mean, the Footsoldier films have got such a huge, almost like cult-like following. People are really into these movies, and not just to sort of like blow your own trumpet or anything, but of all the characters, Pat is, I think, the audience sort of favourite. It's the viewer's kind of favourite character. What do you think it is about that role that has just connected in some ways with the viewers?
You know what? It's funny you said it, because people say that to me all the time. I don't know. Maybe because he's a larger than life character, he's believable in what he does. You know, I've tried to make it as authentic as I possibly can. You know, we got a little bit of comedy in number 4, but I think deep down, my stronger attributes lie towards the darker side of the stories, where I'm a little bit more, you know, man on a mission type of thing. And I think we took it, Andy wanted to take it one more step, you know, with Vengeance. And I said to keep it fresh and make it totally different. And I think the fans like to see me doing that stuff. You know, we got, you know, Tony Tucker's he got the comedian, you know, Craig's the guy who's getting the brunts of everyone's, when they got the do you know what I mean? We all had our things that we do, and they are our strengths. You know, each individual character. Pat was more violent, you know, very unpredictable, turn on a sixpence type of man. and I've tried my hardest to bring that into the films. And I know people say, you know, well, this is not fact. No one cares. It's the movie industry, and if people are wanting to see it, then producers make a product. I'm an actor for hire. You know, I don't get involved in the politics of what's real and what's not. I'm just an actor for hire. You know, they pay me, I play.
I mean, you mentioned some of the other sort of characters as well. They've always been an ensemble sort of feature. But I mean, in this, I was watching this when I watched it over the weekend. There's such a pedigree of British actors here. I mean, you've got obviously the likes of yourself. There's Phil Davis, there's Jeff Bell, Jamie Foreman, Sadie Frost, Tara Fitzgerald. I mean, when you're actually on set and you look around, I mean, there's some real experienced talent there. Does it make your job easier when you're surrounded by actors like that?
Well, you know, that was one of the things Andy said to me. Be interested to see who we can attract with you playing the lead, and no one, just you. You know, with the past 3 movies you've done, because they've been critically acclaimed, and you've got a little bit of the chops now of the, you know, critics saying, "Oh, you know, he's doing stuff." I think other actors will, and we were so blessed to get. You just name that list. I won't do it again, but. You know, the likes of Phil Davis and Geoff and you know, quality actors. I'm a massive fan. I'm obsessed with quality actors. You know, to look in an actor's eye and it becomes real for that moment. Yeah, very, very, very lucky to, you know, gone up again, the quality. And it's lovely to have, I'm so proud to have him around me because it helps me.
Obviously, there are a bunch of a lot of new faces in this, but I imagine when you're on this shoot, there's a lot of the same faces, not just in the cast but the crew. I mean, I feel like when you turn up to set, you must know so many people there. Is that how important is that sense of familiarity? Is it quite comforting to have that kind of community that surrounds these movies?
Oh, massively, massively. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, the jobs I've done when you're flying around the world, you get off a plane, you go to an hotel, get up, you go to set. It can be quite nerve-wracking. Obviously, you settle in after a couple of days, and then they become family. But I'm so comfortable doing this stuff. I mean, I really am. And you know, Nick Nevern's an incredible director, very you know, on top of his game. Comes to set fully prepared. He knows that I'm fully prepared. We're very much on the same page, and he's very much the producer on it. He's there every day, making sure, doing this, doing that. He's got a very healthy ego that he cares. You know, his attention to detail, Nick's attention to detail, sound, colours, editing. You know, even though it's an independent franchise, we try to make it quality as best as we possibly can humanly bring to the table. It's important.
Yeah. I was also, when you do know a lot of people and you've got that familiarity and stuff, it must make the rap parties quite fun as well.
Yeah. Although I don't think I went to this one. Did I go? I can't remember. It was I was working. It was chaos on the last one because then we had to go out to Spain to shoot scenes. But yeah, it's a very enjoyable environment to work in, you know.
And you mentioned about sort of turning up prepared, and I'm not, of course you're going to turn up, you're going to do all the work and the preparation, but because you've played Pat on a number of occasions now, is there a sense of being able just to turn up on set and go, I know how to do this, I've done this before? I mean, obviously you need to prepare the story, but is it almost a seamless transition for you now? The second you arrive, you just know how to switch into his head?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Yeah. But obviously, you know, you got a scripted scene, so you got to learn your lines. I'm always there early. You know, I try to get a bed early when we're working because they're long days. You know, I won't kid you, they are long days, and yeah, it's just enjoyable. I was just saying to Nick 10 minutes ago, it's frightening where the last year's gone. You know, where quickly, you know, you wrap and that's it. Everyone has a celebration, and then all of a sudden, boom. A year has passed. It's just frightening. And here we are, number 6.
Right.
Who would have thought?
Well, talking of the passing of time, I mean, I recently saw it was the 30th anniversary of Cliffhanger this year. I just wonder if you still look back at that project as a kind of major part of your kind of career and your experience, of course, working with the likes of Stallone.
And listen, I mean, I can't put into words what that film means to me. I really can't. It was the beginning. It was the it was the seed that was planted in my nut that made me realise what can be achieved if you're driven enough, you believe in yourself enough, and you do your own work. Listen, I'd have spit in a coffin that film. I'm under no illusions about that. But it wasn't about that. It was about the standing and watching, you know, Stallone, a film of that magnitude. You know, where would I go from here? I remember thinking to myself, standing on top of a mountain. You know, when I think about what I've achieved for me personally, you know, in independent film and other movies and TV now, and I'm forever grateful. I'll never ever forget that film, because even when I watch it now, it emotionally I think of it, and it was such a big deal at the time, such a big deal to land a Hollywood movie of that magnitude at my age, 29, to be out in Italy for 6 months and to work with an idol that I held on a pedestal, and then all of a sudden I'm meeting him. It was just incredible. Incredible. It's still a good film.
Yeah. I was going to say, did you watch it? Because I know there's a bit of, you know, a bit of hurrah around it this year because of the anniversary.
Yeah, I did watch it. I just wish I could go back and reshoot all my scenes.
But I mean, obviously, that's sort of looking back. My final question really is looking forward. I'm really excited to see Boat Story. What can you tell us? What can you tell us about that and your kind of character in that tale?
Well, obviously, you know, it's Jack and Harry Williams, two of the most talented writers in the world, without a shadow of a doubt. All of this stuff is quality. And then, you know, you talk about cream actors. For me to be in the company of people like Patricia Scanlon, Daisy Haggard, Teki Cairo, you know, Patterson Joseph, just actors that are just highly respected, you know, and me in that little mix. It's a fantastic, such a quality, so original and so different. Two people find a shipment of cocaine washed up on the beach. Both of their lives are not going that well. They decide to keep it. Then they decide to sell it. And it's about the aftermath and the fallout and who comes in to get the drugs back, to get the money back. And all of these characters. I play Guy, who's Checky Cairo's right-hand man, who's brought in to get it back. You know, whatever you got to do, get those drugs back. So it's full on. It's very violent, funny, dark, just very original and different. The scripts were so good. They were such a pleasure to read. I can't begin to tell you. You know, when you get something and you just can't, you know, you turn the page and it's just beautiful. So I think that comes out in the winter. Yeah,
nice. Well, you mentioned some great actors in it, but you know, you've, like we said, 30 years now doing your thing in the industry. You deserve to be in that crowd. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I mean, it's always a pleasure to speak to you, Craig, as well. I look forward to catching up again soon.
Thanks, mate.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys.